So these are going to be our seated stretches. Again, like with the standing stretches, I'll guide through a 5 breath cycle hold, so there's space for you to expand the practice if you're starting with 2, 3 or 4. And again, some have options, so we might show you some of these options before moving into where we're going to hold our stretch. So we're going to begin with some gentle pelvic tilting. So feeling into the sitting bones as you sit on the chair, and then rocking the pelvis back. So we're moving onto the tailbone, rounding through the low back, the mid back, perhaps allowing the hands to drift forward onto the knees and dropping the head forwards. And perhaps coming into this curve on an out breath, and then on the in breath, rocking forward onto our sitting bones, creating that curve back through our low back and opening up through the chest, the shoulders, maybe even lifting the gaze. And then on an out breath, rounding back down again. So we're just slowly moving through our range here rather than pausing and holding so much. Opening up through the shoulders, lifting the gaze on our in breath. And perhaps once more dropping down, curving through the spine, dropping the head forwards. And then rocking forwards onto our sit bones, creating that arch in the low back, opening up, and then coming back to rest and sit. So you can do some shoulder circles again, either exploring one shoulder at a time and then moving on to the other, or both together if you wish. Just taking some gentle backward shoulder circles, but here really tuning into if we're imagining a circle that we're drawing, tuning into the bottom half of the circle here, and really emphasizing the drawing down and scooping around the bottom half and feeling that sense of stretch as we scoop through the bottom half of the movement, and perhaps taking 2 or 3 backwards rolls and then changing the direction and coming forwards. Same here, scooping through that under part of the circle. And perhaps just resting down at that bottom part of the circle here and drawing up through the crown of the head. Just creating some length here between the back of the head, the ears and the shoulders. 2 to 5 breaths resting here. Three, 4, and 5, relaxing. Just giving the shoulders a little wiggle if they need. And now taking a stretch into the upper arm. So taking the right hand towards the back of the same side shoulder blade. So we're reaching towards the back of the same shoulder, just gently supporting with the other arm and reaching the elbow towards the ceiling. Now this is a direction of travel, so it may be that your range of movement is nowhere near what was shown here. It might be that you're just here partway through the range, so working to wherever your gentle edge of stretch is, but in this general direction, and at your edge holding for 2 to 5 breaths. Just checking in with the shoulders, dropping it away from the ear if we're holding that tense. 3, 4, and 5, releasing the arm and swapping over to the other side. So taking the left hand towards the back of the left shoulder, and again just gently guiding, supporting with the other hand to move the arm in this direction, but to wherever your end of range or just that early point of stretch might be, somewhere you can just rest and breathe. 2, 3, 4, and 5, releasing the arm down. And now combining our neck stretch with our shoulder stretches that we've just been exploring. So taking the right ear towards the right shoulder, sensing into that stretch through the left side of the neck, between the ear and the top of the shoulder. And this time just, again, gently taking a shoulder circle with the left shoulder, just to explore how this changes the sense of stretch through the side of the neck and the top of the shoulder. And just feeling into where feels tight, that might be somewhere that we might want to take our pause. So wherever that might be, Finding any sense of tension or tightness, pausing and taking our breath there. 3. With each out breath, imagining letting go of the shoulder a little bit more, allowing it to drop with gravity. Let that arm be supported on the leg, so you're not having to hold up the weight of the arm. And 5, gently coming out of the stretch, and we'll do the same the other way. So taking the left ear to the left shoulder this time, and again gently exploring a circle with the right shoulder, feeling into the bottom part of that range again, seeing how that changes the nature of stretch through the neck. If there's anywhere that feels particularly tight, just choosing to pause there for our 2 to 5 breaths. 2, again letting the shoulder drop with each out breath, allowing the right arm to be supported on the thighs, not having to hold it up. It's a real sense of letting go through the shoulder and the arm here. And coming gently out of this stretch. So now taking a wide stance with our feet, so opening up through the hips, coming wide in the legs, and we're just going to come down, bending at the waist, taking the right elbow towards the right knee. And it might be just resting here and breathing into the left side body. See if it's possible to just gently rotate the upper body, opening the chest and perhaps placing the left hand on the left hip. And it might be breathing here. Or if you want a slightly stronger stretch, gently raising the left arm up through an arc, sensing again where in that range may be your edge of stretch, and breathing into the side body, 2 to 5 breaths, wherever you choose. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Gently bringing the arm down if it's been raised, coming back to sitting. And we'll do the same on the other side, but remember with any of these stretches where we have a right and a left option, knowing that you can choose something different each side, tuning into what feels a wise choice for you. So just gently rotating the upper body to open the chest and resting here, but breathing into the side ribs, noticing how the inhale gently expands the side body and adds into the stretch here. Or if you want to gently raise the arm, sensing into the arc of movement as you raise to see where's the edge of your stretch, and taking 2 to 5 breaths wherever you're going to pause. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Gently easing out of the stretch. Keeping our legs where they are here. We're going to take a nice forward bend. So raising up through the chest, so lifting the chest first. We're going to come forward, almost pivoting from the hips, running the hands forwards. And it might be that they just rest on the knees. It might be that we can come down and rest the elbows on the knees and rest here, breathing into the back. Or it might be that we can run the hands down the front of the shins and come to hold the calves or the ankles. If you're able to come forward that little bit more, let the head go, let it dangle in between. And resting here, taking our breath, breathing into the ribs at the back of the body here. So 2 to 5 breaths. 3, 4, and 5. Coming back up to sitting. Bringing the feet in. And now we're going to take a gentle twist. So sitting tall to begin with, so raising up through the crown of the head, and then we're going to gently twist to the right, taking the left hand to the outside of the right knee. The right hand can rest behind on the chair, and just using the left hand on the knee to just encourage the upper body round into this gentle twist through the mid-back. 2 to 5 breaths, noticing it's not quite so easy to take deep breaths in this position. But still breathing with the stretch, and on the out breath, just gently drawing the body into that stretch where possible. 4 and 5. Just gently releasing from the stretch, coming back to center, and we'll go the other way. So raising tall first, and then taking a gentle twist to the left, taking the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Left hand supports behind. 2 to 5 breaths with the out breath, just gently drawing the upper body round into our twist. 3, 4, and 5. Just slowly releasing and coming back to our sitting position. Again, keeping the feet fairly narrow here. We're going to do another gentle forward bend, but this time we're going to round through the back. So dropping onto our tailbone, allowing the low back to round, allowing the mid back to round, and running the hands forwards down the thighs. And it might be just resting the hands on the knees or the elbows on the knees, or potentially wrapping the arms around behind the thighs underneath. Just resting forward, perhaps allowing the head to rest down. 2 to 5 breaths, breathing into the back of the body here, noticing the expansion of the rib cage at the back of the body as we breathe deeply in this position. 3, 4, and 5. Slowly releasing the stretch, walking the hands back up the legs if that helps to just gently release out of the bend. And now being towards the edge of the chair if you're not there already, and just taking the right leg out in front so that the right heel rests on the floor. We're just going to do a version of our hamstring stretch, back of the thigh, just like we did in standing, but from the chair here. So we're going to begin by lifting tall, and then we're going to come forward leading with the chest until you feel a sense of gentle stretch in the back of the right thigh. 2 to 5 breaths here. You can take some support onto the left knee and just rest onto here if that's helpful. And as in standing, it doesn't matter too much what's happening with the foot. It can just rest down, be relaxed, or maybe toes up. You'll notice toes up will just slightly increase. It'll change the nature of the stretch, but it's not too important what the foot's doing. 4 and 5, just easing back up, swapping the feet over. So taking the left foot out now, heel resting down onto the floor, lifting up through the chest, and breathing out, leaning forward into that gentle stretch, just towards wherever your edge of stretch is, somewhere you can comfortably rest and breathe, but know that you're getting that stretch in the back of the thigh. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just slowly coming out of the stretch, bringing the feet in. So now we're going to work to just gently open each hip. So we've got some options here that we'll show you before you can choose which one you want to work with. So the first is from this position, simply allowing the right knee to just drop open and seeing if it's possible to just gently give some gentle pressure to the inside of that right knee, just to encourage the hip to just gently open. So you can just be here working with this. Or you can extend the left leg out, and you can rest the right ankle perhaps on the shin and just allow the knee to drop open and encourage it open with the hand from here. Or if it's possible to bring it above the knee, we can work from there. Or we can start to just gradually bring the left foot up so it's planted, and we'll have a slightly stronger hip opener on that right side here. So choosing whichever option you want to work with, opening up the right hip, 2 to 5 breaths working here in this stretch. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just gently releasing the right knee, helping it off if it needs any help, just bringing it back down to the floor, and of course we'll swap over And again, it might be that you choose a different option on the right leg to the left. So exploring and seeing what feels wise. So we can just open from our foot on the floor position, or we can extend the right leg and just rest that foot onto the shin or above the knee. Or if you want a stronger stretch, remember we can plant that right foot down onto the floor and work to open from here. So making your choice, opening up the hip, perhaps just giving a little bit of gentle encouragement with the hand on the inside of the knee, 2 to 5 breaths. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just gently easing that knee up and out. And coming to sit back in your chair, allowing yourself to take some support from the back of your chair for this next one. So we're going to take hold of the right leg and we're just going to gently draw the knee in towards the chest. So it might be that you can get hold just behind the thigh, it might be on top of the knee or onto the shin, just gently hugging the knee into the chest. I'm just getting some stretch into that right hip. 3, 4, and 5. Letting that leg come down and swapping over to the other side. Just gently hugging the left knee in towards the chest, holding behind the thigh or in front of the knee. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And just releasing that leg. And just to finish, just extending the right knee out in front. And just taking some circles with the right ankle. Perhaps 3 one way and 3 the other. Again here you'll notice the right thigh doing some work to hold the leg here. It's a little different in some respects from the stretches we've been doing. And placing that foot down. And the same on the other leg. Just raising the leg, circling 3 one way, and 3 the other. Placing the foot back down. And that's the end of our seated stretches.